Namaste. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Astrology World of Abinash Baruah. Astrology is the science of the influence of heavenly bodies like stars and the planets on human and terrestrial affairs. There are myriads of types of astrological studies like Indian Vedic, Chinese, Babylon, Western astrology, and many more. Indian Vedic astrology is the oldest in this world. The study of astrology is based primarily upon two factors. Number one is reincarnation, the birth-rebirth system, and the second one is karma, the laws of karma. Now, if we are believing in astrology, we are talking about birth, rebirth, and karmic laws. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Whenever we see an astrological report, the horoscope of a person, the first thing we refer to is the birth chart. Now, why am I mentioning about this birth chart? Because there are many other charts, like we often see moon chart, Namansha, Dashamsha, and many others. However, the first and the most important chart that we must refer is the birth chart. Even if whenever we refer to these other charts, we must not forget about the birth chart. Now comes the first question. What is a birth chart? Well, the positions of heavenly bodies at the time of your birth with a reference point or place is described in a chart, and that chart is nothing but your birth chart. The place of reference that I have mentioned is nothing but your birthplace. So, in other words, we can define the birth chart in such a way that a birth chart is simply the snapshot of the heavenly bodies captured when you came out of your mother's womb. The birth chart shows where each planet was, in which zodiac sign, and in which house. And the birth chart, there are several formats. In Indian Vedic, we have North Indian, South Indian, East Indian, like that. In my videos, I'll be referring to North Indian birth chart. Few of the factors are very common in all the types of birth charts. And the main factors that never get changed are that there are 12 zodiac signs, there are 12 houses, and there are 9 planets. We cannot have 13 houses, we cannot have 20 houses, we cannot have 11 houses. Whether it is North Indian style or it is South Indian style, there are always going to be 12 houses. Now, coming to a birth chart. Before going to the birth chart, I have written down some numbers and some rashis. There is the zodiac signs and the planets associated with that zodiac sign. So, in the birth chart, we see the numbers starting from 1 to 12. Those numbers are not indicating the house numbers because it is assumed that the person who is reading a birth chart already knows about the house, about the positions, like about the order, first house, second house, third house, 12th house. The person must be knowing about the positions of these houses. So we must know about the numbers and the zodiac signs and the planets associated with each number starting from 1 to 12. So at the very first place, you can see here in my paper that in the very first place we have number 1, and the sign associated with number 1 is Aries, and in planet Aries is associated with Mars, Mangal. Then after Aries, at number 2 we have Vrishabh, we call it Taurus. Number 2 zodiac sign Taurus is associated with planet Venus. Then comes number 3, that is Mithun. In English we call it Gemini, and Gemini is associated with the planet Mercury. Next comes number 4. Whenever we see number 4 in a birth chart, we can conclude that it is referring to Karkat, and in English we call it Cancer, and this sign is associated with Moon. So number 4 indicates Moon. Whenever we see number 5, it is talking about Singha, Leo, and this is associated with number 5 is associated with the planet, the star, Sun. Next comes Kanya, Virgo, and it is associated with Mercury. Next comes Tula, that is Libra, and Libra is linked with the planet Venus. Next comes Vrishchik or Scorpio, and it is associated with the planet Mars again. Now here you can see that Mars has been associated with 2 signs. Number 1 Aries, and number 8 Vrishchik, that is Scorpio. Next comes at number 9, it is Dhanu or Sagittarius. It is linked with the planet Jupiter. After Dhanu, we have Makar. We call it Capricorn. Capricorn is with the planet Saturn. Next comes Kumbha, Aquarius, and here also the planet is Saturn. Then finally the sign comes is Mean, Pisces, and the planet here is again Jupiter. So here you can see Jupiter has got two signs, number 9 and number 12. So whenever in birth chart we see either number 9 or number 12, we can conclude that it is nothing but the planet Jupiter. Similarly, whenever we see the number say 5, we know that it is the planet Sun. Like in this order, and this is most important thing, that this order of the planets, the zodiac signs, is fixed. This order is always fixed. Like number 1 is always going to be Aries, number 2 is going to be Taurus, number 3 is going to be Gemini, and Taurus comes after Aries, Gemini comes after Taurus, Cancer comes after Gemini, Leo comes after Cancer. So this order is going to be fixed for always. It is not going to alter. So before going to put some planets, let me have a brief walk about the birth chart. So our birth chart, the house at the top position, at the center position, is our first house. And as mentioned earlier, it is always going to remain first house. We'll see in the next videos that there may be different numbers associated. For one example, we may have the number 12 in the first house, and in another example we may be having another number, say any number from 1 to 12, say it may be 2, 7 or anything, and that number that we will be seeing in this house, that is not going to represent the house number, it is going to represent the lagna, the ascendant. If it is number 1, we'll be understanding that this is nothing but the ascendant is Aries. If it is 12, we can come to know that the ascendant, the lagna, is Jupiter. So again, when you go to this birth chart, North Indian style birth chart, we go to the first house, then we go in an anti-clockwise direction. After the first house, towards left comes the second house, and Just below second house we get the third house. Then comes fourth house. Then comes fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th house. So in the beginning we may find it difficult to remember the first house, second house, all the positions, but slowly and slowly after looking at the horoscopes it becomes easier. That's why it is always advisable to see your own birth chart. Whenever you go through videos or any books, it's always advisable to have your own horoscope in front of you and you can refer to the houses. So the house diagonally opposite to your first house, that is your seventh house. The house here, it is the fourth house. This first, fourth, 7, 10. These four houses are center house because it is within the another box. These four houses are center houses. And two more houses like fifth and ninth, they form a triangle with the first house, first, fifth, ninth. So in Hindi we call it trikon. So they form a triangle. So we need to remember these center houses. These are called center houses, and these three houses form a triangle. Now we'll be seeing who do we see in these houses. Like in first house we can see someone, in second house we can see someone, third house we can see someone, from sixth house we can see someone. Similarly, from all the houses we can see some specific persons important, related to our lives. And say for example in first house is nothing but yourself. Say 12th house is your spiritual self. Like that we can define someone from each of the house. And now we have just mentioned about who do we see in all the houses. In addition to who, we can also see what we are defining or what we are seeing in the houses. What do we see in the houses? For example, in fourth house, if I see to a horoscope, to a birth chart of a person, what are the things that I can see in fourth house? Say for example, suppose I am mentioning that in fourth house we can see your mother, your relationship with your mother's health, everything we can see from fourth house. However, that is not the only thing that we see from fourth house. There are many other things that we see from fourth house. Similarly, from all the houses, like from 1st to 12th, we see many other things. And those things are very important to have a clear idea before we go through all this, say the vision of a planet, the impact of a planet, and then benefic, malefic. Before going to all these stuffs, it is very important for everyone to know what are the things that we need to know about these houses. We may be having different numbers, and also suppose one person is having the number 12 here, so it is talking about the ascendant Jupiter, and he may be having one planet over here, and another person having the number 12 may be having another planet's name written there. So it is not going to remain the same. So we'll be talking about these houses, all the 12 houses in detail in the next video. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.